What is going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. This is the Friday Focus today, and I am Mike DeHaan here to do this short little tidbit episode for you on this fine Friday. So on these episodes, we typically dive into a question from a listener or some kind of topic that we're excited about. And on this one, we're going to be doing a little bit of a breaking news kind of episode, because something else that we also really like to do on the show is to call out and talk trash to different kinds of influencers, whether they are real estate influencers or they're business influencers, and just kind of expose the BS that they are all pretty much always shilling. I've yet to find people that really sort of like challenge us. Actually, I take that back. There's like maybe two that I can think of off the top of my head that I really do think are legit. But most of the gurus out there that are just shilling whatever they think they can make money off of. And today we had the honor of seeing Ryan Pineda's name come up in a class action lawsuit. And so what I wanted to do was kind of just dive into that, kind of just like break down the full situation, because after I reposted it on my Instagram at Mike_invests, I got a ton of people that were kind of asking questions. And it's funny because they could just click on the link that I was getting it from. I'll share that in the show notes below if you want to check it out. But just kind of like dive into what exactly happened there and why exactly he's in a lot of trouble. And it really makes you wonder how many other people like him are going to be facing the same kind of issues here in the near future. So first off, this whole situation came around from the whole NFT shill that he was running a couple of years ago. If you were listening to kind of business and real estate podcasts in the early 2020s, like the 2021, 22 kind of range, you heard a ton about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? And it seemed like every single influencer or, kind of like thought leader, I would say, was talking about NFTs for a pretty extended period of time. And then people would try to come up with a use case for NFTs that they would then try to sell people. And wouldn't you know it, a lot of it turned into a bunch of BS. And Ryan Pineda's was no exception to that, right? And the interesting thing that's about his, and as we go into this, not only did he sell a ton of these NFTs and go through this whole thing, but he never even actually started the project. So it was legitimately just straight fraud. It wasn't even like this NFT wasn't actually what we said it was. It just actually never even existed. And so diving into this, it starts with some real scathing remarks on him. And it just says, this lawsuit is against snake oil salesmen masquerading as entrepreneurs. The defendants, led by ringleader Ryan Pineda, sold digital assets that did not have the characteristics, uses, or benefits they advertised and promoted. Through malice, reckless incompetence, and greed, the defendants failed to provide the promised business ventures or digital rewards and proposed the purported purpose of defendants' endeavor may have been concealed by their scheme, right? So basically saying they're a bunch of scumbags and they made up a bunch of BS. And so it goes into a lot of details of their NFTs that were called Tykes, Tykes NFTs, and kind of what they were promising with them. And so a lot of it was similar stuff that we heard at that period of time from other people. So it says, upon purchasing a Tykes NFT, the holder was promised access to perks, which included access to exclusive real estate deals, vacation rental homes, events, educational products, and other investments. The more Tyke NFTs held, the more perks the holder was to receive. Additionally, the Tykes were designed with an embedded yield-generating mechanism that provided holders with a financial return in the form of a separate fungible cryptocurrency called Tycoin. Specifically, by merely holding Tykes NFTs, the owner passively accrued predetermined amount of Tycoins over time. The more Tyke NFTs a single holder possessed, the greater the yield of the Tycoins. The yield generating mechanism created an expectation of profit derived from the efforts of the Tykes NFT project, as the value and distribution of the tokens was controlled by the project's underlying asset. And so if you think about this, right, here's what they were doing is they were creating something that the people that got in earlier when they were cheaper were going to yield more because they could buy more of them. And then as people bought more and more of them, there was less of them to go around. They became more expensive. And so the people who came in later yielded less from them. And so they were very quickly creating a pyramid scheme, because you're going to have all of these people going out and telling all of their friends they should also buy these tokens so that they can generate more yield, and it's going to drift up to them, right? Because the more of them that get sold, the more yield they're going to be getting. So at the initial sale, the defendants earned over $2 million by selling the Tykes NFTs for thousands of dollars per piece, Individuals purchased hikes using either their regular credit cards or with Ethereum, an established and regulated cryptocurrency. And so they made $2 million when it launched. Who even knows how much they made after that? And then, however, it was only in February of 2024. So they launched this in September 2022. February of 2024, the truth is uncovered. The Tikes project was a fraud and no meaningful development had ever taken place. The defendants' continuous misrepresentations were not mere delays, but a calculated effort to obscure their abandonment of the project. So all of this, they raised all this money. They sold $2 million worth in September of 2022. And then fast forwarding like 18 months later, February of 2024, they had not only done nothing with it, but they had basically just misled a ton of people into thinking that progress was being done. Probably had fake milestones, fake reports, everything that they were sending out. And ultimately, this whole thing was just a giant bust. And they just stole all these people's money, right? The crazy thing to me with this is like, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of ignorant to NFTs. Like, how did the transfers happen? They must have literally just been like wiping like a Stripe card for Ryan Pineda's company or sending Ethereum to a wallet that they controlled. But I would have assumed, so if people that were doing NFTs legitimately, it would be done through a marketplace where you would go and you'd buy the NFT and you would have it immediately. So this must have been like a pre-raise or something. But either way, stole over $2 million. And then it has a list of the parties that are trying to basically file this lawsuit. And some of the like spends that these guys had were crazy. Some of these guys, like $74,000 worth of NFTs they were trying to buy, $47,500. There's one dude in here, it's like $221,000 a guy spent. These people were putting their life savings into their hero, their guru that was telling them that they had this great business opportunity. And this is, just Ryan Pineda. He's kind of the first, like I would say, super high profile one to get caught with this. But if you go back in time to then, this was everywhere, right? There were so many different versions of this that were happening. There was the NFT thing that was all over the place that was obviously super fraudulent. There was the e-com stores, like the automated Amazon e-com stores that were everywhere. If you've been on social media, like business social media all over the last number of years, I'm sure you saw those. Those were all a giant scam. And the crazy thing is like, this is the only one that we're hearing about. This has to be happening more and more. You got to wonder how many of these guys are going down. And you can like hear some of these things and you can wonder, like, I don't know why anyone fell for this, but that's not the point, right? They have someone that has gone and built a lot of trust and has a big audience. And you have these people that are kind of ignorant to how business and making money works. And suddenly they're being told that this is their chance to do the next big get rich quick opportunity, right? And it's tale as old as time. People jump into that. People make impulse decisions. People make dumb decisions. You don't even need that many people to believe you to make a ton of money. And so I imagine more people will be following suit with this. And this is like probably one of the least bad things that Ryan Pineda has done over the last number of years. His e-commerce store scam is like significantly worse if you want to dive into that. It was the Lunar e-com whole fiasco. You can find YouTube videos and stuff on that, but that's a major scam. He's going to be getting into big trouble with that. And these guys are just going to be going down, man. And I don't know what's going to happen like as all these sort of gurus come upended. And as somebody that has a platform and creates content, it's really unfortunate because these are the guys that get so many eyes, and seems to be the outcome, like more often than not. It's a real shame. But the big red flags that you can look out for is if people are ever creating like scarcity over a once in a lifetime opportunity that you have to give them money in order to get access to, that's a huge red flag. Something that Ryan Pineda was renowned for, which is also a huge red flag. Sorry, you listeners that are religious out there. But if people are really touting God and religion as a part of their platform and they make it kind of like a centerpiece of it, I'm sorry, but that is a huge red flag if they're trying to sell you something at the same time. That should be concerning to you. And then also too, look at like their actual track record of what they are currently doing. And if they are like jumping around through different things constantly, like every quarter, every 6 months, or even every year, that is a red flag as well, because that means they're trying to find the next thing to sell you. For people like Pace Morby, who I've talked a lot of trash on, the one thing I will give him a lot of credit for is he has committed heavily to Sub 2, and he does bring value to people with that education. He kind of does it with a little bit of a sketchy way that I don't like. But there's so many people out here, Ryan Pineda, the highs, you gotta look for them. You'll know them when you see them, and it's really, really problematic. So I'll post the link for this if you want to read more about it in the show notes. If you have any experience with this, I'd love to hear your opinion on the full situation. You can send me a DM at Mike_invests and let me know if you were involved. I would love to talk to you about it. I'm just fascinated. And if you have any more insights on kind of what unfolded here, definitely let me know. So send me a DM on Instagram at Mike_invests. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys next week.